Every time, before darkness falls, this man sprays alcohol on the door of his house. As soon as he returns home, the very first thing he does is clean his dog. The moment he sees that the sun is about to set, he immediately closes the doors and windows by fitting special steel plates. But despite there not being even a single light on in the house, he still does not feel safe. He clutches his rifle to his chest and curls up in the bathtub with his dog. Only then does he find peace. Actually, the man has put up such tight security because as soon as the darkness of night spreads, the outside world no longer remains a world of humans. Out there, packs of terrifying zombies roam the streets, spreading terror, because almost 5 years ago, in 2012, a virus wreaked havoc. This virus killed 90% of humans, while 9% of the people turned into zombies. These zombies are afraid of sunlight. They only come out at night, and their sense of smell is extremely sharp. Meanwhile, the main character of our story, Will, has survived this virus because he belongs to less than 1% of people in the entire world who have a strong antibody. Will was speeding through the deserted streets of New York, driving his Ford Mustang. He was chasing a deer right through the middle of the city. In this world where now only he is left alone, food has become the most basic and most essential need. But just as he was about to make the kill, suddenly a lioness pounced and surrounded the deer before he could. Seeing his prey snatched away, Will thinks of killing the lioness. Just then a lion and a cub also come out. Seeing all three, Will is reminded of his dead family. He doesn't pull the trigger, because he knows that lions are maintaining the balance of nature. Before going out in search of survivors, he goes to his underground medical room and checks whether the mutant rats have become normal from the treatment or not. But he still doesn't see any difference. Actually, Will is a brilliant scientist. He has developed a gene therapy based on a virus vaccine. When he thought that today's day would also be disappointing, just then he saw that one mutant rat no longer had the strength to attack. From this he got an idea that the rat is gradually becoming normal. If this experiment done on the rat succeeds, then he can also turn those zombies back into normal humans. During the daytime, in search of surviving people and zombie hideouts, Will steps out of the house every morning at exactly 8 a.m. He drives every day to a video store. There he changes the ladder and asks for the well-being of the mannequins he has placed earlier. Seeing this, no one can even imagine how lonely a person can be that he has to make mannequins his friends. He marks every place he visits on a map and collects food and essential supplies at those places. In search of other survivors, he calls every day on the radio at exactly 12 noon and, hoping for a miracle, drives to the dock. But a full 3 years passed. He never got any answer. To reduce his loneliness, Will goes to the Enterprise aircraft carrier in the afternoon and stands on a plane playing golf. But during this time, his dog saw something strange. There was some movement somewhere far away. Will immediately picks up the rifle, looks through the scope, and finds that it is a deer. Without delay, taking the dog, he sets out on the hunt. But just then, a bad incident happens. The deer, while running here and there, accidentally gets trapped in a closed place and, panicking, enters inside a building. Perhaps the dog had not had meat for a long time, so he too, without fear, runs into the building after it. Will tries to stop him. Will gets nervous, but for the sake of his dog, he has to go inside. Inside, it was completely dark. Nothing was visible. At this moment, Will's heart was pounding badly. Even a mirror could scare him. As he was going up to look for the dog, suddenly he heard a painful scream. He was afraid that something bad might have happened to his dog, so consoling himself, he moved forward. Following the bloodstains lying on the stairs, at a turn he saw a severed animal head. The relieving thing was that on going further he found out that it was a moose that had just been killed, but the fear before dying was clearly visible on the moose's face. Seeing this, Will raised his gun and started looking around. Just then he saw another scary sight. In no time, a pack of zombies was within less than 5 meters of him. Will had to gather courage and go inside for the sake of his dog. Finally, under a table, he finds his German shepherd, who looked very scared. Just as he moved forward to call out to the dog's gaze fixed straight behind Will's back. Will senses that something is wrong. As soon as he turned around and looked, a horrifying scene appeared in front of him. Will, along with his dog, started running outward like crazy, but finally they were caught in the hands of the zombies. But the good thing was that Bill jumped out of the black window in time, and as soon as the sunlight hit it, the zombie immediately got injured on the ground. Even though the recent experience scared Will, because of this very reason he also got a hideout. To experiment on zombies, Will laid a trap outside. He took out a vial of his own blood and placed it at the door of the building, while he himself sat hiding outside. Truly, within just 2 minutes, 30 seconds, a zombie got caught in the trap. And as soon as the trap activated, a live zombie was forcibly pulled out, but just then, with an angry roar, a zombie with a frightening face suddenly came out, as if it wanted to immediately eat Will alive. He himself could not understand why this zombie was so angry. After returning home, Will just kept busy with experimenting on the zombie. He had no idea at all that this female zombie was actually the wife of that zombie king who had just been roaring. It was because of Will capturing her that the war between zombies and humans had completely broken out. He was the only living human in this city, but he was surprised when he saw that the head of a mannequin suddenly moved. And the even more frightening thing was that this mannequin, which actually should have been at the door of the video store, had suddenly reached several kilometers away no one could understand. Just then, Bill took out his gun and aimed it at the mannequin, thinking that some human had placed that mannequin here so that he could talk to Bill. But he didn't see any human around, because actually this is a trap that the zombie king has laid for revenge, because he had captured his wife. When Will goes near the mannequin and bends down to look at the water lying below it, just then suddenly the trap laid by the zombie king activates, and Bill gets hung in the air. Due to the injury to Will's head, he becomes unconscious. When the sun is about to set, Bill wakes up by hearing his alarm clock. As soon as the sunlight ends, the scary zombies come out. Just then Bill takes out a knife from his waist, and, panicking, cuts the rope tied around his feet, but as soon as he falls on the ground, the knife goes straight into his leg. Due to which now the trouble has become even greater because the last rays of the setting sun were disappearing. The very next moment, Will felt that something was wrong. Scary sounds started coming from the dark building in front. Just then, the zombie king came in front and released 3 ferocious hunting dogs, but due to the remaining rays of the sun, they could not reach him. But as soon as a few minutes later the sun sets, the zombie hunting dogs go crazy and attack. At this time, our main character's life is wounded. The only ray of hope between his life and death is, it is the German shepherd that has been with him in this apocalypse. This German shepherd is his only companion, the reason for his living. He is afraid that his German shepherd might die. Come on. There was a pistol in the car. Will started crawling toward the car, but as the last rays of the sun started disappearing, just then the hunting dog's attack intensified. Now, he had little time. Bearing the pain, he gets up and moves forward on his paws, but after walking a few steps, he again falls on the ground. Right at that moment, the ferocious zombie dogs pounce on him, but Will stops their attack with the bullets of his gun. But just then, another zombie dog leaps at him. In no time, the ferocious dog's sharp teeth were about to tear his cheek when the German shepherd arrives in time and saves him. But the worst thing was about to happen now. The German shepherd had been bitten by another dog in the fight that just happened, due to which Will's heart sank, because only Will has the antibody, not the German shepherd. After returning home, Will immediately injected the antiviral medicine. He took him in his lap and started hoping that the German shepherd would get better. He was smiling and consoling himself that his dear companion would get well. Just then, hair started falling from the German shepherd's body. When he lifted the dog's eyelids, he saw that symptoms of the disease had started showing in the corners of the eyes, and deadly symptoms had also started appearing in the mouth. Will's heart broke. But reality forced him to take a painful decision, and against his will, Will, with his strong palms, strangled his love, that love which had been with him in countless lonely dark nights. He was completely broken. But at this very time, Will also realizes a strange problem, that when a human infected with the virus turns into a zombie, he doesn't have that much brain. But still, how could they lay a trap exactly like humans? But when he looked at the next seat and there was no sign of Sam, then, in this moment, Will could no longer bear it. Therefore, that very night, he took his car and ran straight toward the harbor and, without thinking, started attacking those zombies. However, due to being in the car, the zombies could not do anything to him, but they kept coming continuously. They completely surrounded the car and started breaking the glass. Just then, some zombies climbed onto a lamppost and dropped it directly on the car. Will got stuck in the car. He saw the crowd advancing toward him, so he quickly tries to get out of the car. But just then, even more zombies arrive there. Just then the zombies' leader gives the order to attack him, but before Will could do anything, the impact flipped the car directly to the side, and the monster came in front of Will. Now Will was exactly like a deer caught in a trap. Death was advancing toward him moment by moment, but at this very moment a bright light appeared as if some human was coming toward him. Finally, he could no longer bear it, and became unconscious. When he woke up, he found that he was lying in his house, and the wound on his leg had been bandaged. He saw that there was a woman near him who was with a child. It had been 3 years since Will had seen a human. He could not understand how to talk to people. After this, the woman started introducing herself. Anna told Will that she had heard the news of Will on the radio. She came to New York with the child and waited the whole day, but Will did not come. She was thinking of going to Vermont because that is a safe place for humans. Hearing this, anger came on Will's face. He told Anna that there is no safe place anywhere here. The whole of America has been destroyed. Anna wanted to argue with Will, but just then Will yelled at them. He always believed that he was the only living survivor on Earth, due to which there was heavy mental pressure on him. In despair, Will became completely dependent on science and logic, and he focused his entire attention on finding a cure for the virus. His entire life and hopes were resting on this one goal. But Anna's news suddenly changed his thinking completely. She told him that there are surviving people elsewhere too. This meant that Will's long-standing loneliness and hard work had perhaps not gone to waste, because now a living human was standing in front of him. Will struggled with his thoughts and feelings in his room for a long time. Finally, he accepted reality and came out of the room. Anna explained to Will that they should go with her to the quarantine zone. But Will clearly refused. He said that he would absolutely not go from here. After this, Anna reached Will's lab. When she saw that female zombie lying in the ice, she could not believe her eyes, and she asked Will whether he could really cure this zombie. After this, Anna saw hundreds of pictures of zombies on the wall. To make the vaccine, Will had used them like lab rats. As soon as the rays of the sun started disappearing, Will immediately closed all the doors and windows. Anna again tried to convince Will to go to the quarantine zone, but before Will could give any answer, he already heard a strong commotion from outside. When he opened the small window and looked, he found that a large crowd of zombies was advancing toward his house. Will could not believe the sight in front of his own eyes. He had always tried his best to hide his scent, but still, a large crowd of zombies had located his hideout. They began advancing toward them crazily, like monsters. When the man asked carefully, it turned out that yesterday, when the woman saved him, she did bring him to a safe house, but later she did not take any precaution. However, now there was no time to blame her. Will immediately turned on all the bright lights around, but the surprising thing was that the zombies who normally feared light had suddenly become very clever this time. After destroying all the streetlights, they started advancing rapidly toward the man. The frightened Will immediately started the second security system and at one stroke activated all the surrounding bombs. When Will looked again, he found that all the zombies had been killed in the bomb explosions, but as soon as he started calling out to Anna, no answer came. Just then he went upstairs to find her. Right at that moment, a zombie attacks him. He grabs him tightly and lifts him directly from the ground and throws him onto the table. The helpless Will becomes the victim of brutality. As soon as the zombie thinks that Will is dead, then he doesn't know that he has been pretending all this time. Taking the chance, he picks up a screwdriver and strikes the zombie. But this strike does not cause it any harm. The zombie picks him up and throws him down. Now, as soon as the zombie king roars angrily toward him, just then Will quickly picks up a rifle from nearby. But the zombie runs away as if it knows how dangerous human weapons are. Will aims here and there, but the zombie hides directly behind a wall, so Will immediately aims at the gas cylinder and fires. From the explosion, the zombie falls directly outside, but still it does not get much hurt, after which it climbs the stairs and disappears from there. When Will chases it, he finds that it has jumped out of the window and run away. Will quickly goes inside the house to find the woman. But he sees that there is another zombie in the room, and the woman and child are hiding under the cupboard out of fear. Will signaled to them to make absolutely no sound. He was preparing to finish off the zombie with the pistol, but just then the zombie saw them, so that no harm comes to either of them. Will, out of compulsion, had to gather courage and enter inside. Just then he fired bullets on it, but suddenly, a loud sound was heard from outside. When Will opened the door, the zombie king was roaring toward him. Actually, he had just gone to call more people. The even more frightening thing was that now their attack was not just smashing things, but with full planning. When Will saw the chief of the zombies outside the window, a restlessness rose in his mind, because the zombies were not just looking like animal-like creatures, but they also had brains. The three quickly ran to the basement. Just then Will closed the main door properly, and Anna, taking the child, hid in the lab. But just then she saw a miraculous sight, and immediately called Will. Actually, the vaccine made by Will was showing effect, and the zombie king's wife was slowly turning into a human. But just then the zombies entered inside. Just then Will quickly closed the glass door. Will wanted to tell these zombies that he could turn all the zombies back into humans. But at this time, in the eyes of the zombies, Will himself too was a terrifying zombie, because he not only captures their companions from time to time and experiments on them, but this time he had even kidnapped the zombie king's wife, due to which the entire army of zombies boiled with anger. As the zombie king kept pushing the glass door continuously, the door was slowly breaking. At this very moment, Will realized his condition. While he was unknowingly looking here and there, his gaze fell on the butterfly mark on the woman's neck. As soon as he saw the butterfly, it felt as if he understood everything. He immediately picks up a container and extracts the serum from the body of the zombie king's wife, because her blood was like a vaccine, meaning it could create antibodies. Therefore, after extracting the serum, he sends the woman and child to safety through the underground passage, and after handing over the serum to the woman, he closes her gate. Just then, the zombie king broke the glass. Right at that moment, Bill pulled the pin of the grenade and ran straight toward the pack of zombies. And it is right here that this magnificent movie ends.